Certainly. So there are a lot of very large cities that have, in some ways, populations similar to ours. LA, DC, obviously San Francisco and San Jose are smaller cities. But all of them have had a very successful program. All of them have seen significant reductions in the amount of waste, and many of them have done surveys of their population and found that very high populations, regardless of income level, were actually very happy with the implementation. So, we of course look to other cities to help us design these, to find out what's working and what doesn't work. And we think that will be a very effective bill, but we are required to do an analysis of how effective it is once the implementation occurs.
Well, I just wanted to thank you again. I think all of us agree that you're doing a terrific job as commissioner. The fact that you support this bill, I think, means a lot to some of us who may have reservations. And third, Mr. Chair, I want to thank you for holding this hearing.
Thank you. Assemblyman Hyken.
Yeah, I want to reiterate what a number of people have said. I was hoping I'd be the first one, thanking you for the amazing service and work that you've done as commissioner. I think as someone who's been in public office 34 years, seen a lot of commissioners, you really are in a class by yourself. So I thank you for that, in spite of the fact that I thoroughly disagree with your position.
I thought we were going to come to kumbaya.
Let me, your testimony that you did not read, but it's, the issues regarding the environment, I think everyone sitting up here, we all care about the environment. And no one on the other side of the issue cares more than anyone on our side. We care about the environment. So that's not the issue. The issue is you say the plan, you say that the Mayor de Blasio announced, One New York, the plan for a strong and just city. And there's nothing just about this legislation. There's nothing just about this law. If you talk about just means that you give the people an opportunity to voice their feelings, unless you're afraid of letting the people do that, because they might have a different point of view. You'll be able to answer that at the end. People have not been given opportunity. In my own community, and one of the people's, the main sponsor of this represents part of a community that I represent, there were no hearings, there were no meetings, there were no anything in our community to give people an opportunity to come out and voice their feelings and how they feel about this. And that's quite incredible. In every survey that's done where people are asked, what are the important issues to them? Let's do the top 20. What are the most important issues going from 1 to 20? This doesn't make the list, by the way. It doesn't make the list of the top 50 even. I mean, that's the people. And maybe people are so disillusioned today all over America because government is not listening to the people. Government knows better than anyone. The people, the elected officials, they can do whatever they want, regardless of how people feel. And I believe a majority of the people of this city are opposed to this for a variety of reasons. Some of them are good reasons. Some of them may not be such great reasons, okay? Let me just read 2 lines. And Senator Felder mentioned that on this issue, he has received such a reaction from throughout the city. And the same thing is true with me from all over. And I just want to share one. And I think this person, his name is John Venuto. He's from the Bronx. Okay?
Thank you.
And I think he is speaking for millions of New Yorkers with the comments that he made to me. He says, I'm a retiree living on a fixed income, and food is expensive enough. The new fee will make buying food more expensive. Are we going to tell him he doesn't know what he's talking about? That's how he feels. He feels it'll be more expensive, and he says it amounts to a tax on food. You can call it whatever you want. It is a tax. You're taking money from people who are already paying out of every single pocket. And by the way, it's wonderful that people who are poor in our city, they're not going to have to pay this. But it's the people in the middle, the lower middle class and others, they're the ones who are having such a hard time to surviving. And every penny counts. Maybe not to me, But to a lot of people, go to the store, stand online, and people are looking for the coupons, another 5-cent coupon they may be able to use to save a little money. They put back things they're not buying because it's too, they just don't have the money. And this person says it amounts to a tax on food. It's not that I do not care about the environment. It's a matter of economics. That's what he's talking about. So this entire, I hope that we defeat this in Albany, and I think we've got a good shot. We should go back to the drawing boards. 2 days before, when this bill passed, the mayor said in some of his comments, he said that he was going to, he agrees with the bill, but he wants to have further conversations with regard to the legislation. And I was happy. I thought maybe he'll come up with something a little better, fine-tune it. And, of course, the next thing I know is he signs the bill, and there was no further discussion. So this is a real issue. And, again, it's not about a lot of the things we've been talking about that you're defending. I understand that. We care about the environment. But the point is the people count as well, and we have to listen to them. And this creates incredible hardship for a lot of people out there, whether the good guys in government think so or not. Whether they just want to push it down people's throats because they know better than everybody else. So the point is that I hope we can defeat it, and then we can sit down and talk because we care about the environment. Everybody up here cares deeply about the environment. And my final question, you can react to what I said, is why are paper bags included as part of this? I'm not finished. I have a lot more to say, not to you, but this is so outrageous because it goes against the people, the just city. This is not just, that's the point. It is not just. You can say, it's good, we know what's good for you. I know what's good for you, Commissioner, whether you like it or not. I'm going to tell you what to eat. I'm going to tell you how much to eat. Is that coming next, by the way, maybe? What kind of food you should eat, because we want to protect your health, because health costs are too high. So you got to stop eating those, whatever you're eating. That's what this is all about. People are angry and fed up with government imposing, telling the people, you don't understand, we get it. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Just before, if you don't mind, we have a lot of people who are here to testify, if it's okay.
I'm done.
Yes? Okay, go ahead, please. And then we'll take the next.
I'll try and be brief. No, I think that I definitely appreciate your comments. This is a bill that took a long time to pass the council, but there were hearings in the council where many people testified both for and against it. I don't think it would be usual for any bills to have hearings in neighborhoods, but
just listening to people, elected officials, calling meetings in the community.
But
that did not happen. I think we politicians were afraid. We were afraid to go out to the people. So you can do it here at 250 Broadway because a lot of people work, by the way, and they, it's not so easy for them. So the good guys, the people, the environmentalists, they come. But the average person is not going to leave work to testify.
So, but we did have a hearing, and a broad spectrum of different council members representing very different communities across the city, both low income and high income, actually voted for this bill. And they represent a lot of different cross sections of the city. It was not 100%. It was not all of the city, but it was not one. It was a variety of different communities that are represented by different members of the council. The reason that we included paper is that it is recyclable. You're quite correct. People don't recycle them. And we did not want to move from plastic to paper because this is not just designed around it being a recycled material. We really want to change people's behavior, and we really want them to reuse. We didn't want to make the waste heavier. I wish that people would recycle more. I have some communities that are unbelievable, over 30% diversion rate. You only can get to 33 according to our data. There's only that much metal, glass, plastic, and paper in the waste stream. but I've got communities over 30. I have other communities where it's still a struggle to get them to do the right thing all the time. And so we really want to make sure that we're pushing on all of the different levers that we have to improve the city's management of waste.
If we have a number of panels and people waiting to speak, but instead of taking another round of questions, Senator Savino and Senator Golden have some points they want to make, and after they make their points, if you want to respond, you can.
Okay.
I prefer you leave, in fact. Yeah. No, I mean, I apologize. I'm just trying to make sure that people have an opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Senator Felder. You know, I see my colleague, Councilman Lander, was here, and he actually made the best point last week in his testimony when he said the goal of this policy is to irritate New Yorkers to change their behavior. And I would say that's absolutely correct. What irritates us about this bill is the inconsistency of it. Inconsistent law irritates me as a legislator because I know it's impossible to enforce, it's difficult to explain, and that makes it hard for people to adhere to. So I have one final comment actually two final comments. You are free to respond or not. You can take it away with you, and perhaps he'll address it when he testifies. With respect to the desire to get rid of all the bags, the inconsistency about which bags it applies to irritates me as a legislator because it's some bags in some stores, not all bags in all stores. What makes bags in a grocery store or supermarket more offensive to the environment than bags in a liquor store? I just don't understand. Why bags in a pharmacy are less offensive than bags in a grocery? I just don't get it. So that's inconsistent, irritating policy. And with respect to the council members, I represent a Senate district. Senate districts are pretty big. I cross 6 city council seats, and all 6 of the council members in my district voted no. So in the area I come from, there was consistent opposition to this plan. So on that point, you are free to respond or not, Commissioner. Again,
Not yet.
You do a great job as Commissioner. I don't envy you. But I think this is an idea it needs to bake a little longer before we finally come up with a real solution for dealing with this. I actually prefer we ban the bags outright. That would make more sense than what this is about. But thank you.
Senator Golden?
Obviously, Commissioner, you can hear the frustration of some of our members, including myself. So I apologize for being loud during some of my questioning. But two things, just a couple of things I want to point out real quickly is that there are several ocean studies out there, and one is from the NOAA's 5th International Marine Debris Conference last year, and its draft conference in Honolulu strategy highlights that the most pressing concerns of educating people is to reduce derelict fishing gear and general solid waste, not specific products such as plastic bags. So that's one of the studies out there. The other big issue out there, or myth, is recycling rates of plastic bags prove recycling doesn't work. That's not true. Recycling works. Recycling does work. The problem is not everyone knows that plastic garbage bags are 100% recyclable, and not everyone has access to these plastic bag recyclings in their communities. So we need to do more of that. And, you know, what a lot of people don't understand, can reusable bags be recycled? No. No. So you're going to wind up seeing them in these different sites as well. So that's a problem. So there are a number of issues here that I think that we have to look to make sure we don't do serious harm. Another harm would be the 30,000 Americans across this great country that have jobs in this industry. The other are the 1,800 families that are here in the state of New York making a living on these plastic bags. I do believe we should have some type of a program, but charging 5 cents doesn't work. And we had a conference, or I should say a press conference the other day, where we represented well over 2 million to 3 million people here in the city of New York, the elected officials that came to that. And let me tell you, every one of us came out there because our communities are outraged. I have one of the largest grain communities in the city of New York, our seniors. They're very hurt. They don't believe that they should have to do this. People like to run into a store, shop, and get out and go home. There are impacts, and of course, like I said, that recycling bags, we had a death there in San Francisco 2 years ago. So it doesn't necessarily be a cure-all. And at the second time, for the second focus here, is that it doesn't really work, and it is a tax. If you mandate something, and it will be tested in a court, I'm sure, in October, when you mandate something at a city level, it becomes a tax. This is a tax in any way you want to frame it. So I don't think this city needs another tax. Commissioner, again, I want to thank you. I apologize for some of my frustration, but this frustration you see is not just from my colleagues, it's from the people in our communities. Everything that's going on around this world, and we're arguing over charging people a nickel for plastic bags, increasing a tax on good, hardworking people in this great city. They're very, very upset about it. They want to hear about transportation. They want to hear about public safety. They don't want to hear that we have a city council passing legislation that's going to impact our small families, our communities, our seniors. So I apologize again for my frustration, but I think I had to get that out.
It's okay,
Thank you.
you're not that frustrated.
I am. I got to be honest with you. I know she's a good commissioner. Thank you. You can respond to any of that if you wish.
No, and thank you all for having me and giving me the opportunity to testify. I'm going to let the council member talk to the different stores. My understanding was concerns around privacy in some cases. And, we would be happy to share any of the information that we have from the studies. The one that I had gotten from the New York, New Jersey Baykeeper is actually part of the Trash-Free Waters that is run by the EPA. They have a very large program. And you're quite correct that internationally there are other pollutants to the marine environment that would be higher. Luckily in New York City we don't dump solid waste into our harbor and we don't pollute in that same way. So, it is better, but we still have challenges in our marine environment that we really, I think, all want to make sure is better, because you know that if it ends up in the water, it ends up in the beach, and nobody wants it there. But thank you again for having me and letting me testify.
Yeah,
Thank you, Commissioner.
thank you, Commissioner. I don't want you to answer my question. I just wanted to make some comments before you leave. Senator Savino mentioned something about mandated recycling that's in the law that hasn't been enforced, and I find it very, very confusing that I don't know when the last time we had a situation that a law wasn't being enforced, and then instead of enforcing it, we change it and we come up with something new. And I find that the mandated recycling, I think that many people don't even know that there exists a mandated recycling and a law that exists for many years that has never been put into place. And if 5% of the effort was put into tax people a nickel on a bag would have been put into getting this enforced, we wouldn't be in a better place, because people would be recycling and they wouldn't be ripped off on this nickel fee. And I think my colleagues have summed it up pretty well in saying that New Yorkers are sick and tired of being nickeled and dimed, and that's what this is, whether we like it or not. The other thing I wanted to mention is that with all due respect, Senator Hoylman, I think that we have been much more deliberative than the City Council. We've addressed this, there used to be cloth bags, we had boxes in the early 1900s, we had paper bags, and then that became environmentally troubled, so we introduced plastic bags, and we mandated a recycling law which would address all the concerns without taxing New Yorkers. I don't know, Commissioner, whether was there a public hearing on this?
There was.
When was that?
I believe that it was probably a year and a half ago. I don't recall. You can ask the council.
November 19th, 2014.
Thank you. So a year and a half ago, there was a public hearing, and now a year and a half later, I don't know what went on in between, but in a year and a half later, that's when the City Council passed the bill. So with all due respect, I think that we in the state, and considering Senator Savino's comments earlier, have been very deliberative when it comes to environmental issues and with regard to this bill. Unfortunately, we're left now where the city passed a law that unless we do something about it, we won't have an opportunity to deliberate. So I want to thank you very much again for your testimony and appreciate your coming. And we look forward to working with you in the future, not on the plastic bags. Not on the plastic bags, that's all.
Thank
No clapping, please. The next panel that we have, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Our next panel is Bertha Lewis, Wilmouth Seaton, and Christina Winslow. The committee has received the testimony, the written testimony of Ms. Lewis, but we haven't received it from the other two, and if they'd be kind enough to submit it, we'd be grateful.
Yeah, and as first of all, welcome, and thank you very much for coming. I just want to ask you to do the same that I asked the commissioner, which is not to read testimony. We'd rather hear what you have on your mind, and we'll put the testimony into the record. And instead of getting into trouble, I'll let you decide on your own who wants to go first. If you can please state your name before you start, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Wilmot Seaton. I'm here this morning to first to say thanks to the Senate for taking this very important issue to task. And we're here to support you. Our community, or the community in which I live, has suffered tremendously. When it comes to education, healthcare, the disparity is surmountable. And this plastic bag tax is adding more burden financially to our seniors. And let me just say what I heard from the commissioner earlier, that seniors are exempt. Those who are on fixed income are exempt. What it means is that if my grandmother sends me to the store to buy goods, then I have to pay the tax. I can tell them that my grandmother sent me to the store and she's a senior and therefore she should be exempt. No, I am the one purchasing the goods and therefore I am the one who have to find that added 20 cents or even $1 or $2 to pay. Otherwise, my grandmother doesn't get the goods that she sent me to purchase. We are saying that the council, not only one council member have held a open forum with their constituency. And she did that, I would not call any names, but she did that less than 24 hours before the council was to vote on it, and for about less than 48 hours before that vote was to be tabled. This is ridiculous. None of these city council, they were afraid to come to the community and say what they had to say to us. One council member, on the day that they were supposed to vote in council, I approached him, I asked him directly, why are you voting for this? He said to me, I'm glad you asked me because no one ever asked me. His answer to me was, because the mayor wants it. Let me repeat. He said to me, I am plastic recyclable friendly, but the reason I am voting for this, it's because the mayor wants it. Senate, I am saying to us this morning, this is not a good reason to pass a plastic bag tax on the backs of poor working class people. In addition, when it comes to recycling, the Novalex Corporation did a study. We made sure that the council had that study prior to passing this bill. However, they choose to ignore it their good lawyer says, well, the reason we ignore that study is because it is done by the very corporation that manufactures plastic bags. Well, that should be a good reason to study it, to look into it, to visit their plant, and to see if, in fact, that what they said in this study is true or correct. How could you push it aside, discard it, and then tell us on our backs we must then pay the retailers? So it's a punishment to the people. The consumers are being punished to pay a tax, give it to the retailer, not City Hall collecting it. Give it to the retailers, make them richer than they are. And what I see in this bag is that we are paying twice. Because believe me, already, I'm a businessman myself. That the cost of the plastic bags have already been taken care of in whatever the cost is for the goods. And if we are to pay them an extra, then we are paying twice for the same bag. This cannot happen. So I urge you, I beg you, please, do not let this become law. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I really, really thank you for doing this, a process that was not taken up in the City Council. My name is Bertha Lewis. I am the founder and president of the Black Institute. We are an action tank, that is a think tank that takes action. Our point of view, unabashedly, is about people of color, black people in the U.S. and throughout the diaspora. And so our focus is on anything that affects people of color. Everybody has their constituents. Let me be clear, those are mine. And so I am irritated. I am offended when for over a year and a half, we have brought communities of color to this issue, and we were totally ignored because you people, quote, and that was a term that was said to me by one of the sponsors, you people need to understand and change your behavior, and the only way to do that is to force you to do that. You have to endure pain. Really? Is this what you think about the constituents of New York City, which is over 65% minority? Really? And again, we have a situation in which we are New Yorkers. We are the creators. We are the innovators. All right. So let's look at this. Let's say, all right, you know, Ooga Booga did this over here in this country and did that over in that country. What do we do for New Yorkers? In every borough, every city council district, every assembly district, every senate district, let's bring folks together and let's talk about how we deal with this. Whether it is recycling, whether it is a ban, let us put carrots out before we whack people with a stick and punish them. Let us hear especially what communities of color have to say. But no, it doesn't matter because you people are either anti-environment or are not. And then, as an organizer, we're always supposed to come up with data. Where's your proof? Where's your data? And yet, there are just statements made about this works here, this works there, you know, with no specificity about how some of these cities and other places are using their fees and their taxes, and they have the courage of their convictions to call it a tax. Fine. I collected 9,000 signatures, and in every last one of them, when the people were asked, they ask us, what are we going to do with it? It goes back to the retailers. Really? I was in D.C. when they passed their tax. It went to clean up the river. My communities, especially folks in the New York City Housing Authority, want to see a cause and effect. They want to see. They want to see kids with the fees going for summer jobs to clean up the environment. They want to see the retrofitting of the chutes in NYCHA buildings because that's what they use to put their garbage out. For me, the thing is, we do a disservice to New Yorkers when we don't come up with a way that New York is going to deal with us. And yes, there was a reason why people didn't go to Albany and have this wide open process, because they knew that deals were being made. They were advantaging one industry over another industry. And in fact, one of our testifiers will tell you that he was told directly, yeah, we're here to put you out of business. So we do think that the mayor and the city council has run amok. We do know that our small retailers, bodegas and other small, they're going to be fined. Look at the bill. So now you're going to fine them. For me, I am insulted. I think it is disingenuous for this commissioner to talk about what is the most hazardous thing to our system. She herself has said, let's ban them. All right, have the courage of your convictions. But the real problem is those so-called disposable baby wipes. But that might offend some other folks. All right, you're going to give me a free giveaway today. And then when will I have to pay? So again, I thank you all for at least knowing that this is a diverse state and really a diverse city, giving us a chance to say we're not against the environment. Thank you, Senator Prasad, because there is this sort of perception that people of color just or don't know, but that for New York City, for the issues, we can find a way. We can find a way to do the study beforehand and not after the fact. We're creative. We're the greatest city on the face of this earth, and I say that unabashedly. You guys have given us the opportunity to really flesh this out. Go to the drawing board, listen to everybody, and come up with the New York City way of doing this. And I thank you.
Next.
Good morning. I want to thank you so much, senators of the state.
If you can
My
mention your name.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
My name is Christina Winslow. I am the founder of a nonprofit organization in Southeast Queens. I'm speaking on behalf of the residents of communities of color, but South Jamaica as well. I got on board with this because I am a mother first, and I've noticed, because it's like it touches my heart to realize that 5 cents for bags, and people are struggling every day, especially like single moms. And with my organization, it's so hard for parents just to, how you say, keep lights on. So it really gets to me. And I actually started talking to people, and when I found that they was going to do 5 cents a bag, I asked them how would they feel, and they was like, we don't know how we would do this if this comes into play, if we haven't already the problems that we have in housing, I mean, keeping a job in the community. And I'm saying to myself, okay, well, I'm going to speak out. I'm going to be involved. I'm going to see what we can do in the community and have my voice heard, so maybe we can make a difference. And then we find out 2 days before it was coming up and the bill was going to be passed. My heart hurt because I was like, okay, it's like 2 days and they already making the decision. Why didn't someone come tell us in the community so we can have a voice, come together as a community to be able to say what may be hindering us to affect us if that happens to us? No one wanted to hear our voice. When is that going to stop? That's my concern. Like, when does that stop? I'm going to say it. I am truly grateful for this opportunity to speak to y'all today because no one wanted to hear our voice before. And I am a mother, you know, and yes, I am a founder and the CEO of a nonprofit, but it's all about the families in the communities, young children, have, they have children, young children having children. We have to be real about this. So now they're already trying to get their own public assistance. Assistance. They're getting assistance. Now they have to try to get 5 cents for bags. It goes deeper than that. Lights. They don't even have placement, housing. They're trying to find jobs. Even people that do have jobs are trying to find jobs. I feel you put elected officials in place, and I know everything doesn't go your way. You have to make a balance being in that place of an elected official, but don't you supposed to come to your constituents and ask their opinions? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, I'm just asking. Like, I don't see that. It stopped. And this is really hurting our communities because no one's asking about want to hear our voices. And my organization, I love my organization. I'm able to reach over 3,000 children with no funding. And everything is free. So when you have people and you have that effect in your community, you have to have a voice or some compassion to want to be able to speak on behalf of them. A lot of them are in shelters. A lot of them are really struggling. Now, I've seen an elder, walk in Baisley Park, struggling with 6 bags. Now, we're going to take that away from him and charge him 5 cents per bag, and then there's no cap? Shouldn't we have some kind of revisement? Can we figure something another way? I want a clean world, too. I got grandbabies. Yes, I do. And I'm grateful. I want them to have a clean environment. I want our future generation to have a clean environment. But we got to start somewhere. Aren't we here to make the difference and make it better for them?